And there we are. And Laura's here. Hi, Laura. Can you hear us and see us okay? Little technical test. And we'll just wait here, see who else is going to join us today. Oh, Andy's here. Hi, Andy. Can you hear us okay? Piggy's at the trough. Yep, Andy says she can. Okay, great. And so does Laura. Okay. So, there are two people here. What's in the drink? I'm not sure. I call it junk slush. What's in it?
Well, there's some frozen peaches, some frozen blueberries, some frozen blackberries. There's some
Frozen whatever.
cranberry juice in there.
Oh, that's the special touch.
Yeah, blackberry liqueur. No, raspberry liqueur and a little bit of raspberry vodka. Not a lot of vodka.
We had raspberry liqueur?
Yeah, we did. I found it in the cupboard.
Oh, jeez.
Let's go. Use up what's in the cupboard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, when you're in self-quarantine, you have to be creative. So, where is everybody today? May I put them off by calling this the we see stupid people. I didn't mean you people. Andy says, daily portion of fruits, very healthy. Yep. Oh, there's Yeti. Hi, Yeti. I'm never sure if I'm saying her name, your name right. Jetty.
It's probably Yeti.
I think it's Yeti, but I don't know. Tell us if we're right, Yeti. So just waiting here for a second, but while we are, I thought I'd show you the little cutie thing that I made today. Isn't he cute? Hi, Kathy. This is my little koala. Last night I was watching an embroidery thing on YouTube, and Creative Kiwi is a company I deal with quite a bit to get things. They're from New Zealand, and this was an In the Hoop, and I thought he was the cutest little guy. You probably can't read what I wrote on him, but I wrote I distance. Do you get it? I distance. Actually, I could have put hashtag stay the fuck away, but maybe I'll do that on the. There's a little kiwi too that goes along with him. So
Well, somebody said on Facebook, they said that term "stay the f away" was now not inappropriate to say.
it's not inappropriate. No. Well, the way is. We're going to talk about that crap today. Stupid things people are doing. We've been observing and hearing about a lot of really stupid things. Jody's here. Hi, Jody. So, first of all, is everybody safe? Is everybody healthy? Is everybody enjoying their isolation? I call this today as my 17th day of captivity. And, well, it hasn't been that big a hardship, in a way. I mean, certainly.
Yeah, well, now we used to always look at each other and say, you want to go somewhere? And then we'd try and say, well, where do you want to go?
I don't know.
And then half the time we couldn't figure out where to go anyway. Well, now there's nowhere to go.
Yeah, so the decision's off the table at that. And we've been getting kind of creative in things that we've been cooking. I made scones yesterday. And,
I made French baguettes the other day.
oh, that's right. You made French baguettes the other day. You also made some kind of soup this week. Pea with leftover freezer burnt stuff. Freezer burn soup.
No. It was leftovers that you had from dinner a couple of days before.
Oh, okay.
It was some pulled pork I put in it.
It was kind of tasty. Well, we still have more of it because we're just freezing it as well.
And I made cookies yesterday.
Oh yeah.
You were bugging me.
Walter made soft chocolate chip cookies. The reason I say soft is because I like a soft cookie. He likes like hard as rock, break your teeth off type cookies. and that's the kind he often makes. But yesterday's came out nice and soft. They were good.
Your mom's nursing home?
So your mom's nursing home, in fact, not yet.
Not really, no.
No, not, I
Sort
mean,
of.
it's been affected in the sense that we can't go over, nobody can go over and visit anybody that's living there. It's all, and they're under very strict health controls and things like that, which is a good thing. Although we heard the other day, the administrator's been keeping us up to date, sending emails out about the situation almost on a daily basis. And she wasn't too happy earlier this week because our provincial government has decided to move people who are in the hospitals that don't have COVID-19, but who are there for, probably a lot of them, Walter says, are probably waiting to get into nursing homes because we have quite a waiting list in this province for that kind of thing. And they're moving them into any spare beds they can find in any of the nursing homes to free up beds for possible COVID victims as well. And she's not happy about this, the administrator, obviously, because, they don't want to bring anybody in that's sick into the nursing home environment because that's playing with fire. But at my mother's nursing home, they have a floor where they have, I don't know how many beds are available, but they usually use that for people who
Or convalescing.
yeah, convalescing kind of thing, short-term stays, that kind of thing. And I think they're putting them in there, but they've told us that they will putting them in isolation for 14 days and keeping them away from the general population and monitoring them every step of the way. And so far, this nursing home has been really, really good at all of that. So I'm not too worried. Talked to my mother on the phone. She knows what's going on and everything like that. She's actually been answering the phone the last couple of times I've called her too, so that might be a good sign. But anyways, so long story short, she's fine. And I think she's in the best place she possibly could be right now. Anyways, I mean, heaven forbid, I think I talked about this on Monday on my vlog. Heaven help us if this had been a few years ago when she was still in her apartment, because there would have been no way she would have survived in the apartment. And what we would have done with her at that point, because we didn't want her living with us, and my sister didn't want her living with her. So, but it would be that would have to be.
And his mother's pretty much in the state where everything has to be done for her, so.
Yeah, and anyways, don't have to worry about that. Everything's looking after fine. Although she said to me yesterday when I was on the phone with her, she says, there's a few things I'm running low on that maybe you could pick up for me. And I said, Mom, I can't come to the nursing home. Told you this already. Oh, and I says, Mom, what is it that you need? Everything's provided for you. Oh, yeah, I guess that's true. So sometimes I wonder if she's losing it a little bit. But anyways, such it is. Yeah, there were some, Laura, and there was a nursing home.
There's a fairly big nursing home in Oshawa that is run by the city, and called Hill. There's two sections of it, two actual buildings. One's called Hillsdale Estates, and the other one's called Hillsdale Terraces. The smaller of the two is called Hillsdale Terraces, and it's the one that was affected. It had 4 cases of COVID-19. And they apparently, last I heard, there was one lady that was 92 that passed away. And last I heard that, or read that, they had another 28 that they were isolating and monitoring. They don't know for sure. I guess maybe they had some contact with the other 2 or the other 4 that were diagnosed. So they're sort of monitoring them for symptoms or whatever. So hopefully that doesn't. Hopefully no more get that. But it is a pretty serious state when that goes into a nursing home. So
yeah, because it would, like, they're all compromised immune systems basically. So in a sense, you are talking, unfortunately, death sentence for them. Hi, Bonnie and Dana. Today's number of deaths in the Netherlands is 771. Yeah, we're at about
can't remember how many
39 or something in Canada, which is, well, given the circumstances, not bad, but it's not like it's a race. But anyways, yeah. So, and another thing, we had one of our big grocery stores in our area. There was an employee there that got it, and he died. And he wasn't. He was only in his early 40s.
No, he was 48,
Oh, was he 48?
and he was had no other underlying health conditions.
And he hadn't been traveling anywhere or anything like that. So there's community spread.
And a second employee of that same grocery store has just now tested positive.
So, anyways, but yeah, Mom's doing okay, and we're coping with it just like everybody else. I mean, what choice do you have? However, one choice seems to be, it seems obvious, doesn't it? You stay away from people. That's what they're telling us. The way it's spread, we know this. You got to be living on another planet not to know this. Or someplace in like a very desolate area that does not have any form of mass communication whatsoever. But there are still people here and around the world doing stupid things. So we thought we'd talk a little bit today about stupid things. And then there's another thing we want to talk about as well. But one of the stupid things are people who are partying with other people. This seems to be happening in Quebec a lot.
There's 6,258 cases in Canada right now, and 61 deaths.
And Yeti says they've had diagnosed over 2,800 in the Netherlands. Well, the biggest problem right now, and talking about stupid people, Americans. Sorry, I'm going to call people out on this one because I'm not going to pussyfoot around this. The Americans still haven't figured this out. They haven't got it. I've been listening to podcasts that come from the States. I've been watching their news, and I've been listening to YouTube channels. A great number of Americans still don't understand what social distancing is, physical or self-isolation, anything like that. Of course, it doesn't help when you have a president telling you, I want this all wrapped up by Easter so we can go out and have a good time. Yeah, from the mouth of God, not. I've been listening to some podcasts where people are talking about going out. They were still going out to bars and nightclubs. Now, those have been shut down in most of the places, I think, in the United States. But then there's people that are actually trying to file civil lawsuits against the government in the United States because their civil liberties are being threatened by these things. Yeah, it's not your civil liberties that are being threatened. It's your violation of what everybody is recommending that you do that's threatening the life of people. And you're threatening your own life. Stupid people. Yeah, definitely, Bonnie. They do need a decent leader, but we know this, and he's an idiot. Dana says, when you see Trump on TV surrounded by people, oh, well, I know. Exactly. Like, no social distancing there, but then he probably can't spell social distancing. But what's really getting me isn't so much Trump, because we expect Trump to be stupid, right? Because this is nothing new with him. What I find shocking is the number of Americans I'm hearing that are disregarding the rules. Now, to be fair, Canada has their fair share of stupid idiots too. Out in Vancouver last weekend, and that they were gathering on the beaches in Vancouver. Weather's a little nicer out there in Vancouver than in most parts of Canada this time of the year, and hanging out with their friends. In Quebec, they fined a whole bunch of people that were having an apartment party. There was something like, I don't know, 10 people or something just whooping it up. In Nova Scotia, apparently, they were going out on the beaches there a week ago. So that has now prompted for our government to create new law called the Quarantine Act that says you will be fined, you could be imprisoned, if you are caught violating the isolation protocol on all of this. And some people just aren't getting it. Then there's the stupid people who think, oh, well, if I'm healthy, so if I get this disease, I'll be maybe sick for a day or two, but then I'll be fine. It's not life threatening to me. Well, we just had that guy that's 48 years old, and I would consider that young.
His wife is now obviously under quarantine, and she said there was nothing. He had no underlying health conditions. He wasn't even on any kind of medication, and he got sick, and it escalated extremely quickly with him, and he passed away under a week.
Well, no, Bonnie, you're right about Trump. And Laura says Trump's ratings have gone up. You know why? This is another stupid thing. Sure, we're all looking for a glimmer of hope here, aren't we? I mean, yeah, we want this thing to go away. We want to go back to life as it was. Oops. No, I do not have the COVID. I was just choking on PETA. No, we do. And so if someone, like they said yesterday, because every day we have a report from our prime minister, he comes on live on TV, talks about the state of everything and what they're doing, and then there's all the journalists and everybody are doing their media commentary about the stuff, and they also interview some of the chief medical officers in our country, and they talk about the situation. And one of the chief medical officers was saying that the number of new cases in British Columbia, and that's where it started for us primarily in Canada, and the reason being is Vancouver, British Columbia, has a very high percentage of Asians that live there. And of course, everybody went off, over for their New Year's and everything, which is fine. They weren't expecting to get anything or have a problem. But there's a lot of them. So that's where it got started, basically, in our country. But he said they haven't had the number of new cases on a daily basis looked like, and he was very, very cautious about this, that they were slowing down slightly. Now that's going to give people cause for hope. He was being very cautious and very, putting out a warning. This doesn't mean that things are over by any stretch of the imagination, but, so Trump turns around and says, by royal decree, I want this thing all wrapped up by Easter so we can have a good time at Easter. People are grasping at straws, and there's a lot of people, and I can't get my head around this, how anybody could be so stupid to believe that one man can just wave his hand out over there and bingo, miracle happens. I mean, apparently in Christian mythology, there was one man that was like that. But, and notice I said mythology. So I don't get it. Just stupid people. It's one thing to have some optimism, to have some hope, so you don't go right into despair. But to honestly think that this thing is going to be over by Easter, there's no bloody way. Easter's what, 2.5 weeks away? Something like that?
I guess this Governor Cuomo, I haven't really heard him. Well, I've
been watching his stuff too, and he's stepped up for his state, but the New Yorkers are not listening to him. New York has the most cases right now. The epicenter of this whole disease is the United States. Well, there's a lot of reasons why that would be. Okay, one, Americans travel freely around most of the world and do it a lot. Two, their health system sucks majorly. And if no one ever thought that their health system was bad, this obviously proves how bad it is. They don't have enough test kits. They're not looking after their people at all. And people can't afford the health care. And even though it may not cost them anything for this, because I did hear that they were going to do all the testing and that for nothing, these people are still not in a situation where they can probably get themselves off to these things as easily as other people either. So that constitutes it. Another reason is their high population. I mean, the United States has over 330 million people. Canada has a tenth of that. And we are a bigger country landmass. We're spread out a little bit more, except for our major cities. But we don't have that many major cities of high concentration. And of course, New York has a very concentrated population. And they have said that, like Italy and where it was in China, Those are places that all have high populations squished together in a much smaller space. So personal space, they don't have it the same. Um, Also, the authorities in the United States, I don't think are being as, from what I have been able to see in the media, are not putting out the message as forcefully as our government is. Our government is right in there, doing everything they possibly can. So, unfortunately, we live right next door to the United States. We have the world's longest undefended border, always have had with the United States. Then Trump turns around and says, well, I want to put troops at the border. Why? Are you trying to keep your people in? Because we're not letting any of your people in. The borders are closed. The border is closed. We closed it. That's it. Game over. You're not coming in. Forget it. So does he think some of us are going to want to escape to the States? Wow. Canadians are smarter than that. Believe me. Why would we want to go to that third world country? Because I'm sorry, but that's what the United States is. It's a third world country that hasn't realized that yet. And I'm sorry if I'm hurting any of you guys out there that are Americans, your feelings, but I have to call a spade a spade. Your country sucks. Sorry. And I hope that those of you that are on here, I know you're probably very sensitive people, sensible people, and probably shouldn't be lumped in with all the other stupid Americans. But
yeah, there is was Miss Purple Potato?
Jody.
Jody, yeah, there's people in Canada. There's people everywhere all around the world that are trying to develop a vaccine, and I believe Germany has a fairly viable vaccine that they're trying to test as well.
Oh God, no! We're not looking to the United States for a solution.
No.
Your stupid president. I'm not going to honor him by referring to him like as a prime minister. No. He turned around and said, "Yeah, he wanted to buy the cure that supposedly Germany was working on there about a week and a half ago."
They offered Germany several $1 billion for their solution,
and he said it was for his people, not for anybody else in the world. Isolationist theory right there, which has been one of the problems in American politics, their philosophy anyways. Manifest destiny, the Monroe Doctrine, all that stuff there. It's coming right back to the surface again. Bonnie says the first case was in Toronto. Yes, Bonnie, I think you were right. It was in Toronto, but it spread much faster in BC than it did in Toronto at one point. But again, we have Toronto's the biggest city in Canada, highly concentrated, very like New York in terms of, a lot of condo dwellers, apartment dwellers in very small space, the whole bit.
Yeah, Australia was the first country to be able to replicate the virus.
Yeah. And, but through the World Health Organization and all the G7 and G20, all that, they've all pledged to work together and put trillions of dollars into finding a vaccination for this and a way to control it and the whole bit. The only holdout has been the United States on this. They're still, well, I'm not sure if right now they still are, but last I heard, they were still fighting over how much money they were going to put out to help the people in their own country. I mean, this is not the time for partisan politics. We have a minority government in this country. The Conservatives, who are the minority, the official opposition, would just love to overturn the federal government under normal circumstances, but right now, they're working together. So there's no room for partisan politics in something like this at all. And that's another thing that stupid people are doing.
Apparently the scientists, from what I've read, are collaborating amongst all countries freely.
What's that?
Scientists have been collaborating with all countries in the scientific community to try and resolve this all over the world, not just one country in particular or anything.
No, you're right, Melissa. I have one suggestion for the United States, but the problem is this. It's not going to happen now during this crisis, if ever. First of all, the United States needs to have people go in and revamp their entire governmental system, but that's never going to happen because that's historical. They have a Republican system. It stinks. It doesn't work. But there's no way, because it's controlled, as most governments are in the world, not just the United States, are controlled by the rich, by the corporate interests. And the bedrock of capitalism in the world is the United States, for sure. So yeah, there is no solution for it. We just have to hope that maybe there's some people in places of power that are going to be able, in the United States, to make reason come to the surface. But I don't have much faith in that. I am sorry for the Americans. I really am. For the average American person, I'm really feel sorry for you because, quite frankly, it looks hopeless. And you can't move here because we closed the border. So I'm sorry about that. But I'm not going to make any apologies for my opinions about the Americans. I'm sorry, not through this. As individuals, I have said this before, on a one-to-one basis, most Americans I have ever met are nice people, just like anybody else, okay? But as a society, I'm sorry, you're not. It's just simple like that. If that means you're going to unsubscribe to us and never talk to us again, so be it. But I have to stick with that because I haven't seen anything to disprove it at all. Sorry if it hurts your feelings, Americans. I really do. What are the people saying here? Laura says, I feel sorry for Trump's staff constantly doing damage control from the dumb things that come out of his mouth. Yeah, I know. See, there are some people in there that are probably smart, but they don't have a position where they can, get that intelligence out there. Every country's working on a vaccine. Heard our scientists talking about this yesterday. Yeah, every country is. And so there's hope in that too, but...
Everybody's sitting around in isolation, and if you've been in isolation for a week or two, it feels like it's been months.
Yeah.
But actually, the reality is that this disease really only started at the end of last year, and really more so at the end of January. So you're talking about 2 months.
Yeah.
That's not a lot of time.
And for the most part, we haven't been in isolation for 2 months.
No.
Like I said, 17th day of my captivity, when I started to count, like the official sort of, as far as I was concerned, I'm not going back out there if I can avoid it. But here's another thing about avoiding things. This social distancing thing. Now they've changed the name from social distancing to physical distancing. And here's why. Because there were stupid people, and I find this mind-boggling when I heard this. And I heard it from more than one source. There were people who thought the term social distancing meant, you couldn't talk to your friends, like, i.e. on the phone, through FaceTime, on the internet, whatever. No, it's physical distancing because of the way the disease is spread.
Or then there's people that thought you could still go to a party so long as you all stood 6 feet apart from each other.
Yeah, there's a party. Wow. Hi, how are you over there? Yeah. They don't get it. And so what did the governments have to do? Our government was very much hesitant to do this. And the reporters have been pressing our prime minister back about a few days ago before they put the Quarantine Act in, saying, why are you not putting together laws that will fine people severely if they're violating the quarantine recommendations, the whole thing like that? Well, he didn't say directly because he's a politician. But he basically was saying is as soon as you start doing something like that, then you're going to have a segment of the society that's going to turn against you. He was trying to appeal to people's common sense and intelligence, saying, look, you need social distancing because this is airborne. You spit on somebody, you cough on somebody, they get it on their face, on their hands. they touched their face or whatever, then they could get it. But people weren't getting that. So they've turned now, the term is now physical distancing. Will that make a difference? We'll see. Give you an example of what I heard just today on a podcast that's by a couple of Canadian guys that I listen to on a regular basis. And they're from out of Toronto. And I guess one guy had gone into a grocery store the other day. And the grocery stores here now have put up plexiglass barriers between the cashier at the checkout and the customer. And they have markings on the floor, like X's where you can stand, and they're all like 6 feet, 2 meters apart from each other. And there's an employee there who will say, okay, you can go to that checkout next. You know, trying to keep everybody from getting too close, not giving, and keep the staff healthy and the shoppers as well. There was one guy, he said he was some little old some Italian guy, he said, the way he put it. He just barged right through. He wasn't waiting in line. There was a checkout. Well, the woman who was in charge of, you know, making sure everybody was doing things in the proper way, she spoke to him. This guy said she was very nice, but she said, no, sir, you need to stand here until I direct you to where to go because, you know, we're doing the physical distancing and blah, blah, blah. Guy said, well, he just went all over her to the point where the manager had to come in. And this guy was saying she should be fired. She just shouldn't be working here. She was rude to him and all this kind of stuff. Well, this other guy stepped up and said, no, she had not been. She was doing her job. And he explained to the manager what exactly was going on. Well, this guy threatened this other one. The Italian guy threatened the guy that was saying to the manager, you know, this was what really happened, to the point where he was trying to bully him and then said, I'll meet you outside in the parking lot. What? We don't do that in our country, for one thing. That is not Canadian behavior at all. In fact, that's not human behavior, really. Not in civilized society. But there's people like that because he pretty much figured he had the right to do whatever he wanted. The government couldn't tell him otherwise. So there you go. So now we have this law. So, and I say, good, we need it. You have nothing to worry about if you're following the law. And the law is there to protect you and everybody else. It's just logical. Hi, Chris. Yeah, that's an idea. Jody says Trump should make his hotels into makeshift hospitals. Yeah. There was a talk that they were going to do something with cruise ships. They've got a couple of big Army or Navy hospital ships that they're moving patients onto, but I don't think they're COVID patients. I think they're moving critical care ones or something out of the hospital.
People that aren't sick with
acute
COVID,
care. Yeah. Onto them and something like that. Well, that's something.
Actually, that's not probably a bad idea because
No.
then you won't necessarily have it spread throughout the ship. You've got.
And that's the other thing these stupid people don't get. The reason we're doing the social distancing is also so this thing doesn't peak so much that our healthcare system is overloaded. And in our country, it doesn't take much to overload our healthcare system. Even though it's better than what a lot of countries have, you can still overload it. And that's what they're trying to do with that. Laura says it's just being socially responsible by keeping our distance so that we don't infect those with compromised immune systems or our medical workers. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's actually very logical when you think about it. But obviously, there are stupid people out there that have no logic whatsoever. And they're looking at it as being a personal affront to them. Oh, now I can't, you've wrecked my life. I can't do what I was going to do. I can't go on that vacation. I can't fly out to visit my Aunt Selma somewhere. Yeah, you're right, you can't. It's simple as that. There have been people earlier on when the nursing home my mother was in had just been said no visitors. Apparently, there were some people coming to the front. You're trying to get in and were putting up a big fight with the staff. Even though it was being explained to them exactly what the problem was, they still weren't getting it. So, you know, dumb. Just dumb.
Virginia was saying that her young neighbors were having people over.
What?
Says our young neighbors have had company last weekend and this weekend.
Oh, that is, well, you know what it is. It's just stupid. But I've heard of this as well. And I have heard that's a lot of younger people that seem to be doing this. They're not getting it. One thing is, they're so stupid because they think that, oh, because I'm young and I'm relatively healthy, I can't get it, or if I get it, it's going to be like a bad cold and I'll be over it. And then I heard somebody talking on a podcast, and this was one of the American podcasts, and it's a podcast that's run by, when I say young people, I don't mean teenagers. I mean people in their late 20s into the 30s, even early 40s. That's young to us now. Wow, that's scary. They were saying that one guy says, well, he had a cough or whatnot and didn't feel that well last week. He's been in self-isolation since. He's not been tested or anything, and he's feeling fine now. But he was hoping that actually it was just maybe a bit of the COVID virus, because then he'd be immune to it because he'd built up the antibodies for it. Well, yeah, in some cases that happens in certain things.
Actually, the medical community hasn't determined whether if you get it, you can't get it again.
Yeah. But
whether you actually build up immunity to it or not.
But they haven't said that, have they?
No, they haven't decided.
Well, they don't know.
They don't know yet.
You know, like...
I mean, it could be true that you don't get it as bad the second time, but it doesn't say you can't get it a second time.
Yeah, Yeti says in the Netherlands, you get a €400 fine for more than 3 people together. Yeah, they just limited us to what, 5?
5, yeah.
5? I said, what if somebody has...
Well, they said that with the exception would be as if you have family members, like you have 4 kids, right? Like your family is 6, right? So there's that exception, or like if you happen to be a family living in a house and there's more than 5 people there. So.
Yeah. Here Bonnie says we can be fined too. Yeah, it's $750,000 fine and a maximum, and possibly prison time as well. But there's still going to be stupid ones out there. Now the thing is, we've got some more false hope. China has sort of eased up a little bit on the isolation of the people in Wuhan, but they've been isolated for like over 45 days and things like that. But other authorities are saying they think they're being a little bit premature because there's something now they're afraid of. It's called the second wave. They don't know whether there's going to be the possibility that this thing, we could get another thing of it through. So really, it would be better. I'm sure those people are going stir crazy that were over there. They'd have to be. I wouldn't want to be them, but you know, I think we're on the road to being them. As long as we have stupid people. Again, it all comes
apparently
back to
in
stupid
China
people.
it was super strict for them not to be able to get out.
What?
Wuhan.
They had shut it right down. You couldn't get out of the city or anything, or out of your apartment building. Chris says all our restaurants and bars are closed for public visitation. They're only allowed to take away. Our limits are now 2 people outside, including family members, or fines start at $1,200. Yeah, and we have something very similar to that in Canada as well.
Yeah, all our restaurants are closed. The only thing that's open are grocery stores and pharmacies and liquor stores.
Yep. There was a second wave of the Spanish flu in 1918 that was more virulent and deadly. Yeah. Because they also don't know what this could mutate into as well. Virginia says she read that many Chinese did leave before the lockdown.
Well, apparently what happened too in China was at the time that it occurred, there was Chinese New Year celebrations, and I guess the Chinese travel a lot within their own country during that time. And so, yeah, before they had warning that it was going to be locked down, and a bunch of them left, so...
Well, in some ways, if I was in their shoes at that time, I think the first thing I'd be thinking about is I want to get out of here and get home. So I can understand it, but now you're home. Like, we just had friends who were stuck in Portugal, and the Canadian government was trying to arrange planes to get, Canadians back home and that kind of thing. And they told them, you have to be isolated for 14 days. Do not stop on your way home to get groceries. Get home, lock yourself away.
But what was stupid is I think they left during the just before the time where they decided to isolate everybody.
Yeah.
And if I was going on a trip at that point in time, I would have had second thoughts about doing that.
I mean, we were sitting here debating. We didn't have a trip planned until May, the middle of May. And even when this first started out, we're going, how is that affecting us? And
at that point in time, I didn't want to go anywhere.
yeah. So, you know, and we're not going for sure now. Well, there won't be a trip because that was May the 17th, our river cruise, and that's going to be, it hasn't been canceled yet, but it will be. But we're not going anyways because regardless, this thing isn't over. No, this is the new lifestyle here. We're all going to have to get used to being isolated for, I think, a very long time. And you want to know something? I'm one of those kind of people that always looks for the worst. Hope for the best, but look for the worst. Expect the worst, because if the worst doesn't happen, you're happy. That's the way I look at things. Everything in life is the way I look at it. Some people would probably call me pessimistic or whatever, but that's just the way it is. Air Canada is now offering cash back just 2-year, or is not offering cash back, just 2-year credit.
Yeah, I can live with that.
We can live with that. We don't know what to expect. What our river cruise company is
Well,
going
right
to
now,
do.
the River Cruise Company, if we do it voluntarily, will offer us 100% credit for a cruise up until the end of 2021. But they did cancel April, and they haven't canceled May yet. When they
Hi,
canceled
Jules.
April, they offered 125% credit or your money back. So I'm kind of waiting for them to cancel May.
Yeah. So right now we're not even going to speculate on anything. We're just going to have to. We're going to have to take it as it comes.
Yeah.
Right now. So no sense wasting our energies on that kind of thing. I just noticed here that. Where is it now? Andy says New Orleans allowed for Mardi Gras. The mayor's excuse was the government didn't put out any guidelines. Yeah. Let's talk stupid. Again, stupid. Why do they have to
money
wait?
grab.
Why do they have to wait? Why the mayor is the government of New Orleans. He didn't want to take the responsibility, is what I'd say, from it. He didn't want to turn around and take something that's a thing that happens every year. It's probably a huge money maker because people come from all over the world, go to Mardi Gras, New Orleans, and the whole bit. It's one huge, big, drunken party. And I can tell you this, I've been to New Orleans once in my life, not for Mardi Gras. I will never go back to New Orleans. It's interesting to see once, but if you enjoy the smell of barf and people half drunk and women with their boobs hanging out because they're half drunk and guys trying to do things to those women that are basically illegal because they're all drunk, then go have a good time. Okay? No, not my cup of tea in there. Glad I saw it once. Now I know what I'm not missing. But that's a bit of an aside there. Anyways. But yeah. They got to have some balls. Grow some balls.
Well, so Bonnie says the mayor needs to have a mind of his own.
Yeah. Like our prime minister. I mean, I have to say, I am very proud to be a Canadian right now through this. Because watching our prime minister and our federal government, the way they've been handling this and the whole bit, there's no flies on those people. I'll even say this about our provincial premier, and you've heard us talk about Doug Ford before, like mini Trump. I have to say one thing for him. Through this crisis, he's actually been okay. It's making me think that maybe there is a brain somewhere in that head. But, like, I'll give you an example. A grocery store, a high-end grocery store in the Greater Toronto region, had Lysol wipes. You know, the ones that come in the canister, kind of thing, which usually cost here in Canada, yeah, grab that, look like this, okay? I'm sure you've seen them. They usually cost us, I don't know,
This cost a couple of dollars, two something.
Is that all it was?
Yeah, $2.50 or
$2.50 something, $3. This place got them in because these are hard to
Well,
get.
actually, the canisters they had were the bigger ones, and I think they run about $7.
Okay, so $7, say, all right, Canadian. They're hard to get, right now, right? Because they're all everybody's doing the disinfecting thing. This grocery store got some in, and they were advertising them $29.99 a can.
Limit one per customer.
Yeah, limit one customer. Somebody contacted the media about that, and the media contacted our premier, Ford, head of our province. And he went and called the grocery store out in a news conference. Well, first of all, they don't usually do that kind of thing. And especially with this particular guy, he's all capitalist, he's all, because he's conservative, and they're all big corporation, the whole bit. If this was normal circumstances, he would never have even brought it up. But he went right on a live news interview, and he called them out. And he says, I'm calling them out. And he said the name of the company,
Pusateri's,
which doesn't mean anything to anybody unless you're from this area, but a high-end grocery store, you know, the kind of place you go in to get a green pepper and it costs you like $6 for it, because they're organic or whatever, and they've been shined by slave labor, I don't know. He called them out on it, and he said he was putting in legislation, and he's done it, on gouging. If any company tries to gouge consumers, there's a hotline that consumers can phone, and they'll go in and they'll shut them down. They'll fine them for it. And I thought, good for you. That's exactly what you need to do right now. Because that's the other stupid thing. People who think they can take advantage of other people and get away with it. Well, yes, they usually do get away with it. So, but not this time. And that's a good thing. Yeah, profiteering. Yes, exactly, Bonnie. That's what I was saying too. You know, I'm really proud to be a Canadian because of the way Canada's been handling this situation. So, other stupid things that people are doing. I feel a little. We went out for a walk this afternoon before we did this, just in our neighborhood, and we've been doing that on a semi-regular basis. We're staying far away from any other people, and the only other people you usually see are some other people doing what we're doing, or most times they're walking their dog, which is fine because doggies need to be walked. It's another thing, but plus for a cat. But we will immediately, you know, if they're coming along the sidewalk towards us, we immediately go off onto the other side of the street, kind of a thing. You know, we're practicing. Feels weird to do that because it feels very antisocial, but we have to do it. But I kind of feel guilty thinking they see us. We're walking side by side. We don't have 2 meters of distance between the two of us. And I'm sure there are some people probably looking at it, because I would probably be one of those people and going, look, those two guys are walking down there, standing right beside each other. They could be, you know, spreading it. Well, no, it's my husband. We live together. You know,
we're spreading it together here. So.
Yeah, like we don't have it, but I mean, like, you know, the kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of waiting for somebody to say something to me. But thing is, if they were to say something, I'm not going to take offense to that. I'm just going to say back, it's okay. We're married to each other. You know, and that should be enough in our country. Oh, okay, sorry about it. But, you know, thank you. Because, you know, we have to be vigilant. We have to keep reminding people. That's stupid that we have to keep reminding people, but there's stupid people out there. So, you know.
And actually, when we've been walking, people seem to be relatively observing distancing.
Yeah.
Even people we've seen talking with each other, they're usually a distance away from each other.
But you said you went into Shoppers Drug Mart that
Well,
one day.
that was last weekend. I had to go to a drugstore to pick up a prescription. And there was an older guy in there, and he was arguing with some of the staff, and he was like not social distancing. He was like right in their face, and the staff kept trying to back away from him. And actually, if I was the staff, I would have told them to keep your distance. But
yeah, so I don't know. But anyways, moving away, I'm going to segue a bit away from the stupid people part right now. And on a lighter note, what's everybody been doing? If you've been watching my vlog or Idiot Quilter, I just finished the top of another quilt, and I'm going to start quilting it next week. I made this cute little guy. Oh, Chris, you weren't here when I showed this at first. My little koala. I all did that in my embroidery hoop today. So, I mean, I'm not bored. I've got lots of things to do, and in fact, my guild is we're going to do a webinar style guild meeting. We're going to try it this week with the executive, which I'm on the executive because I'm secretary of the guild. And about 2 weeks from now is our regular scheduled guild meeting with all the members, and we're going to all do it through this webinar system. And I suggested to one of the executive that maybe what we could do is, if this works out okay, maybe we could have actually a virtual quilting retreat with this. And so I've drawn up a preliminary proposal on what that might look like and whatnot, and we may present that to the executive next week when we have our meeting, our virtual meeting, and see what it like, just to keep people going and entertained with the whole bit. A lot of people are making, in my guild, I think, or in other sewing guilds, are making masks, for the hospital staff because there's a shortage and all that kind of stuff. The only problem is I've heard mixed reviews on that. Some are saying that hospitals and healthcare workers are not accepting them because they're not professional.
I read something before we got on here that Canadian hospitals won't be accepting them.
Yeah. So I made two, so we have our own now. But I'm not making any more. Now what you just told me there, well, that's, and basically I think what's happening now is some of the industries, our federal government has industries retooling so they can switch over to manufacture things that the healthcare people need, that there's a shortage of right now. Sort of would remind you of what they did with industries during the First and the Second World War, especially the Second World War, where industries retooled for the war effort, that kind of thing. And it is a war. It's a war against a virus, kind of a thing. And it is a world war, because everybody's got it in the world. It's everywhere. So, yeah, that's good. And in fact, I think this is quite comical. The breweries, the major beer-making companies in our country are switching over to making hand sanitizer and stuff like that, because apparently they can do that with their equipment. So that's pretty good. Mm-hmm. I don't know if the hand sanitizer is going to taste like beer, smell like beer, but ooh, try the Labatt's 50 hand sanitizer or whatever. Virginia says, oh no, Bonnie says that they use Zoom. Yeah, actually, Bonnie, I'm involved. You've heard me talk about the Quilters Way, which is a group I belong to that's it's run from out west. And we use Zoom. We meet actually we're starting to meet once every week now on Zoom. And it's a great program. But the only problem with Zoom is, and I've already investigated this for this virtual retreat I was talking about, is you can get the free version of it, and that's fine, but it's only good for 40 minutes in a meeting. If you want to go longer than 40 minutes, you have to go to the next level. And the next level is something like $20-some a month. It's a subscription fee. It has a few other features in it that the free one doesn't. But so I wrote to them and said, we're thinking about doing this virtual retreat, wondering if we could use Zoom. The problem is 40 minutes. We're a not-for-profit organization. It's kind of like a one-off. Is it possible that if we all have the free version, could we have more time? Like, could we have 24 hours or something like that? Well, we'll see whether they get back to me or not. Actually, I'm not expecting much from them because I tried to fill out their form for contacting them and it wouldn't let me submit it because for some reason it wasn't taking my phone number, and even though it wanted the country code and all this stuff, well, I put that all in, but it just kept doing weird things. So I went through another channel, which was their feedback section. So I don't know, and heaven only knows with way companies are running right now with everybody working from home and whatnot, they may not even see that message. But we have another program that is actually one of the members of our executive. They have bought it or own it or have a subscription to it, and they do webinars all the time through this program. And she approached her bosses and said, could we use this for our meetings? Would that be okay? And they said, sure, no problem. So they're letting us use it for nothing. So I'm kind of thinking maybe we could get them to let us use it for the virtual retreat as well. I mean, you don't want to take advantage of someone's goodness, even if it's a corporation, kind of a thing. But we'll see how that comes out. But Zoom is a great program. It works really well. Bonnie says, Oh no, Chris says, I'm just trying to catch up here. No, wait. Up. Okay, Virginia says, I did a quarantine quilt along last weekend using the Elvira pattern from GE Designs. And this week I started Bob Owen's live Medela classes. Yeah, I know that Barb is offering those classes too, and they're basically free. Um, the only reason I'm not signing up to do her Medela classes because Medelas don't thrill me. Barb's are really nice, but yeah, they just don't do anything for me. So, but that's nice of her to do that. Um, Chris says I was thinking of doing some craft sessions via Zoom for my craft group. Yeah, I was thinking of doing something too, depending on how this retreat works, but with my art journal ladies as well, maybe down the road. Um, Bonnie says it's very controversial making masks. I remember during SARS, we were all fitted individually for N95 masks where it didn't work to protect you. Yeah, well, these are just cotton, right? Although there's some designs I see where they're putting it, like they have a spot to put a filter in, but
Actually, from what I read, even the ones with the filters aren't considered as providing you. It hasn't been tested to provide adequate protection.
well, I have a simple solution to it anyways, and it doesn't take any time.
Plastic bag.
No, feminine hygiene products. They've got the wings, they stick, there you go. It's like a filter. Okay, I'm just being facetious and funny here, okay? I'm not don't cut off my head for doing that. All right. Need a little levity here, people. Jules says not just healthcare professionals, they're being used by postal workers, grocery workers, etc. Yeah, and it's probably one and then everybody grabbed them off the shelves when this first thing started as well. So
I think they were talking about the reuse the cotton ones, the ones that people are sewing.
Oh, yeah.
However, it's been said that they offer very little, if any, protection.
So I think what they are is if you have a cough, it keeps you from spraying on somebody to a certain extent. Of course, if you sneeze or cough into your sleeve, I guess. I don't know. Andy says, I create a coronavirus art journal. Each page has 6 panels that include sketches of different things I'm doing during the day. I post on Facebook with the hope they'll cheer up my friends. Yeah, and Virginia says, don't breathe. Yeah, that's probably the ultimate.
Like I said, plastic bag over there.
Yeah. So anyways, I've been doing some idiot quilter impromptu lives. I showed people how to make a tiny basket using their embroidery machine. And next week, I'm going to show them how to make a tool caddy. That just involves using your sewing machine and stuff like that. And it's just, it's not so much the act of creating a final product. I think it's more or less the act of reaching out and having some contact with other human beings. Because, I know in my online guild, the Quilters Way, there's a few people on there that live alone. They're just all by themselves. And, that's, even if you have a spouse that you want to fight with all the time, being with it, I think that's better than being completely alone. Well, maybe not. I didn't mean us. Actually, nothing really changes for us. He's in bed until noon, and I'm up at 7. And then we have lunch, and then he disappears into his office and does whatever he does in there, which is basically sit there and stare at the screen all day when you could be doing something more creative.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know. And I'm downstairs sewing or doing my vlog or working on my grimoire, or actually the other day I took pictures of all my quilts and I'm going to put together a slideshow of those and also put together sort of a scrapbooky thing to keep a record of the quilts that I make. And I'm going to do on the Idiot Quilter a little quilt show, my own little quilt show. And maybe a series of them actually, and cut up my own quilts. Go, yeah, I see that part right there? I'm going to do the one thing that's the golden rule. I'm going to break it with quilters. You never point out your mistakes. Yeah, I'm going to point out all my mistakes. It'll be fun. Come, cut up a quilt with me. Yeah, that's what I'll call it. Cutting up my quilts. Something like that. So, yeah, I'm not even bored. And there's a whole bunch of new things coming out on Netflix that sound kind of interesting. And like I said, we've done some cooking. And, real excitement. We cleaned out the cupboard underneath our bathroom sink. It was hideous. What we found in there was hideous. So yeah, and I was thinking too the other day. You know how we talked about these kitchen cabinets
Yeah,
and going through those. This would probably be a good time for that.
yeah.
I don't think the crawl space is though because I don't know.
We can't get
We
rid
can't
of
get to the
anything.
dump. I know.
Yeah.
So the garage is already full. So we'll leave the crawl space. Um, that's vintage. The stuff that's in the crawl space, but the cupboards we could manage with it. Um, Chris says I'll be having a big clean out of my craft room. Yeah, that's another job too. I've got to start. It's another purge I need, but like we can't go to the dump, and we're limited on what you can put in the garbage. And some of the stuff would be stuff I'd have to box it up because it'd be stuff that I'd be giving away and can't like to a local elementary school or whatever, or to my friends who would probably take it off my hands. But we can't do that right now. Um, I even thought, and I don't know how this would work. Um, I even thought we should have a virtual dinner party. Have all the people that owe us dinner, and have them all on camera, and we can all have our stuff set up by our tables and that, and we can be eating. We could even have the same recipe or something and see how it all turns out with everybody, or a challenge. I don't know whether these things will happen or not. Well, if this thing goes on for much longer, might be wanting to use these ideas. Um, yeah, it could be fun. Actually, we could do. Ooh, we could have a virtual. We could have a virtual cocktail party with everybody on here. The only thing
Isn't that what we're doing right now?
well, yeah, but we can't see them,
Yeah.
and we
true.
can't hear everybody in this format. We'd have to all like decide on, something like Zoom, but of course Zoom has the limitation of the time that you can get on the free. But if we found something, you could do it probably through Skype. Maybe I haven't used Skype in a long time. I don't know. Ideas, people. Yeah, Zoom would work, but we'd be limited by the time. That's the only thing, Virginia. You're only given on the freebie about 40 minutes. To have a Zoom meeting. And I don't know about you guys, but we do an hour and a half on this. Or maybe you think that's too long. Anyways, I don't know. Um, oh, yeah, Chris said she'd have to drink mocktails because it'd be early in the morning for her. Well, it doesn't matter. That's fine. It doesn't have to be alcoholic beverages. Um,
Have a coffee.
yeah, you could have coffee. We could have a coffee party, okay, or whatever. Or you could have a beverage of your choice, whatever is suitable for you.
Vegemite Slurpee.
Oh, oh, God, that's so wrong on so many levels. Ooh. But anyway, so what have we been watching on TV? Again, I'm segueing here. Interesting show on Netflix called Freud. I thought it was going to be about Freud, Dr. Freud, psychoanalysts, all that kind of stuff. And it is sort of, but it's not biographical. It's bizarre, is what it is. Actually, I really quite like it, but it is a very strange show. So if you want to watch something that is kind of a little bit on the, not gory, but I don't know how you describe it. It's weird, bizarre, strange, and very fascinating. And just saw the movie Emma. Didn't go to the cinema to see it because those are closed. I got a copy of it from, never mind. And I mean, I was never a Jane Austen fan when I went to university. In fact, somehow I avoided ever having to read a Jane Austen book in university, which was kind of weird because I was an English major. Never hit her. And then just a couple of years ago, I read Pride and Prejudice. And actually, I really liked it. So I watched Emma, and I really liked it. I don't know if you really liked it, but
I was kind of bored with it.
I thought it was pretty good. But it's like, it's a comedy. It was done sort of as, it's a comedy of manners kind of a thing. But yeah, it's not for everybody's taste. But I want to read the book now that I saw the movie. But I'm still plowing my way through the American People Volume 2 that I told you about last week or so, which is, I'm getting a little sick of it, and I've still got about 1,000 pages to go with it. It's a huge book. It's like reading War and Peace, except without the Russian. Yeah, so that's about all we've been seeing there. Now I downloaded all. Oops. I was able to get my hands on some popular movies Hink, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Say no more. Say no more. And so we've got a nice bunch of movies that we can watch too, with that. So one thing that I want to go into is talk a little bit about. I mentioned this in my vlog on Monday, and at the time that I talked about it, I had very positive thoughts about it, and my thoughts are now changing slightly from it. This is a group, it's a grassroots group that started up in Toronto, but it's now spreading across Canada, and I don't know caught on around different parts of the world it may have. Here in our area, it's a Facebook group, it's called Caremongers. And I did put a couple of articles up online in my show notes for my vlog on Monday. If you're interested in looking that up and clicking on those, you'll be able to read more about it. But basically the idea is to create a network of people that can help other people. So people who can, deliver food to people who are isolated, or pick up things for them, or, they start up a discussion group where you can get toilet paper or hand sanitizer or this, that, or the other thing. Just basically acts of kindness through other people, trying to help other people. And I did mention on that vlog that I had put my services out there as a retired English teacher, because in about another week's time or so, the kids are not going back to school in my province, and some of those kids may need help with whatever the teachers are going to be doing until the end of the actual school year. And some of those are probably kids trying to get into college and university. They may need some help. So I have offered to, help where I can, remotely, of course, by email or a Skype connection or whatever, Facebook, something like that. And we'll see. Now, I haven't had any takers yet. I've had a few people, they'll say that they appreciate the offer and whatnot. But we'll see how this all goes. But that's what I could do. I'm not comfortable with going and delivering stuff to other people's homes, because, we're in isolation. And, I really feel for those people if they can't get out because of, they've got a medical problem or something that has nothing to do with COVID, but whatever. Somebody
Or you never know, there might be something there that you can help with.
Yeah, maybe. If I see something, then I'll put it up. But anyways, I was thinking really good thoughts of this. And then I saw the loonies come online. Okay. There's always people out there who want to take advantage of other people's goodness, right? We know that. Unfortunately, that's part of being part of the human race, I guess. So you're getting some people on there that you're really wondering, are they legit or are they taking advantage? For example, suddenly out of the woodwork, a whole lot of people that were suffering from ODSP.
Yeah.
I didn't know what that was. I had to look it up. Well, basically, they have some form of disability that
They can't work.
they can't work. And that disability could be anything, I guess, from a bad back to being in a wheelchair or whatever. But suddenly these all popped up and they're asking for food. I can't get out. Can someone pick me up? And they have a list. Now, okay, we just need some basics. Something like that. Okay, I get that. But no. They need gluten-free bread. They're a vegan. They're allergic to nuts.
And they don't have any money.
And they don't have any money. Okay. And the way that they voice these interests is like, I'm not going to pay you. This is what I need. Can you get on with it? Uh-huh. Okay, I'm really sorry for those people if this is real. But is this real? One you saw on there, she's a young woman.
She says she's single, but then I went on her Facebook page, and she's a single mother with 2 kids and has a husband.
And has a husband.
And she says on her thing that she's single, she's all alone, and she needed some food.
Oh, okay, so there you go. So, this makes me very skeptical. I mean, this whole thing was started originally, I am sure, with the best of intentions. I think, in fact, the woman who got this idea started in Toronto.
I think a lot of people were thinking, well, more for like shut-in seniors and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But of course, a lot of seniors aren't really that technological. A lot of seniors aren't as technologically oriented, and it doesn't seem like there's any seniors that are on there asking for help.
Yeah, I know. And this is the thing, and what goes through my mind is, and maybe this is being very uncharitable, I don't know, but to me, the people who probably would benefit from this the most are probably the people that aren't asking for it. But the ones that are suddenly coming out of the woodwork and they want this and they want that, some of them wanted people to go off and pick them up McDonald's. You know, because like you can still get the like takeout at McDonald's, like out in the curb or whatever, drive-through and stuff like that. But they make no mention of paying these people for it or whatnot. Somebody wanted their laundry to be done for them because they couldn't get out to a laundromat and they didn't have a washing machine. Okay. What did we do when there weren't any laundromats or automatic washing machines? Do you have a sink? Do you have running water? Do you have soap? Not maybe is the easiest, but you know, you could wash some things out, like, you know, I mean, maybe you don't want to do your tuxedo or your ball gown, but then again, you're not going any place where you need a tuxedo or a ball gown right now, do you? So I don't know. I'm waiting for the one that's going to come and go, I can't get out. Could you run over to the liquor store and get me a 6-pack? And it will happen. Mark my words. Or someone goes, yeah, I can't get out to the cannabis store. Could someone pick me up a ball? I don't know, or whatever they call it. You know, an edible or something. Yeah. So, like, I'm thinking here, they always say...
I mean, there's a few people on there that are actually, I've seen on there that are actually
Deserving?
not deserving, you know. But then there's a lot of people on there that seem to be
taking advantage of the
trying
system.
to take advantage of the system. Yeah.
Yeah. So
like really good intentions, but I'm not sure how well it's working. So.
no. And you know, this just makes me become a little bit more cynical too. And in a time when we shouldn't be cynical, where we should try to be more positive about things to get through this, but it shows you the people that are not long out of the trees, right? And they always say the worst of times bring out the best in humanity. I would like to think that's true, but I'm seeing the exact opposite in many cases. Now what I'm afraid of is, when's the crime going to start? And I heard somebody talking about this already on one of the podcasts I listened to, saying, you know, with everything shut down and the whole bit, nobody out on the streets and the whole bit, isn't that prime environment for people who want to break into places and, you know, steal things? And I mean, even
in
if,
stores, and
yeah,
stuff
stores
like
and stuff like that. And even look at these a grocery store, high-end grocery store, trying to sell Lysol wipes for $29.99. That's robbery. That is a form of robbery, of corporate robbery. That's selfishness on that store's behalf. So, you know.
They were quick to say that it was an error in pricing.
Yes, when they got called out, they profoundly apologized, said it was a mistake. Yeah, it was a mistake for you that you got caught. That's the only mistake, as far as they were concerned. But yeah, one of our states, Chris says, in West Australia now has limits on alcohol from bottle shops. They're running out. Yeah, they've opened it up now with the alcohol thing, so that if you order food from a restaurant for delivery, you can also get alcohol with it if you wish, because they're licensed to serve that, but they have to do it with food. And but one person said, and I think they were somebody that had a restaurant, said, sure, fine, we'll sell people that if it's legal to do so. But they said, but you know, it's cheaper to buy it at the LCBO than from them, because they're going to be charged. They're not charging you.
It's a convenience, though.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, on average in this country, if you order a bottle of wine at a restaurant, it usually runs anywhere from 2 to 3 times more than what you would pay for the same bottle of wine in our liquor store. Um, well, I guess some people have more money than brains then, or they want it. I don't know.
Well,
So
maybe an afterthought, like ordered the food and then they thought, I wouldn't mind a beer with that. So
I suppose maybe that's true. I don't know. But we don't have to worry. We're stocked. Sort of. Out of it all. But anyways, um, so I'm going to keep my eye on this Caramongers thing anyways and
yeah, I've been looking at it.
see what happens.
I mean, I saw a couple today that I thought were legitimate
Yeah.
type things, but
I just don't know how you know. Some of them can be very clever.
I guess that's why you pick who you want to help out and who you
Yeah,
don't,
I guess so. Yeah, I guess that could be the way it is. But right now, I'm sorry, I'm being selfish. I'm not picking to go and pick up stuff for somebody and risk if they're like they've got the disease or whatever. I mean, I'm just not willing to do that. I'm sorry. If that makes me selfish, then so be it. But I'd rather be selfish and alive than really good-hearted and dead because I'm not a martyr here. Okay, I can't walk on water, and I can't raise the living from the dead. So, or is it raise the dead from the living? No, whatever. So, anyways, so yeah, so I guess we go on with our captivity. What's going to be hard now is we've moved into spring here, and although the last few days have been kind of hit and miss as far as how nice the weather's been, it's mostly been rainy. Well, we're moving into April, and that's rainy season for us, of sorts. But once it gets a little warmer out there, people are going to want to get outside, and this is when I think people are going to be very tempted to violate the
however,
rules.
well, okay, yeah, people that are supposed to be quarantined that have COVID-19 are supposed to stay indoors. People that don't have COVID-19 are allowed to be outdoors.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's nothing saying you can't clean up your
Well, no,
yard
you
or
can go out
anything.
and stay in your yard and that, but what I'm saying is it might be very easy for people, start chatting with the neighbors and the way our houses are anyways, they're fairly close together. I don't know, we'll see. Especially, people with kids, small kids, and they've been cooped up in the house already for like 2 weeks with them and the whole bit. God, they might go on, I'll take the disease. Just get these kids out of here. Kind of a thing. I could just see that. But, anyways, so I think that's about it for today. And I hope you guys are all still well and healthy.
Stay safe.
And stay sane. Don't do stupid people things. And hopefully, well, we'll see what happens.
Actually, they call the stupid people things COVIDiots.
Oh, that's good. I like
COVIDiots.
that. COVIDiots. Don't be a COVIDiot. Yeah, exactly. And if you think of any novel ideas that, to keep us all amused, let us know. Maybe we can try something that's like virtual drinks using a different platform. I don't know. We'll see how that all works out. So stay safe. Have a good week, everybody.
Yeah.
And tune into my vlog tomorrow. I'll be ranting about something, I'm sure. So see you all later. Bye-bye for now.
Yep. Bye-bye.